With decks like Spyro and Altergeist being considered as some of the best decks of the format, Infernoid can really make a huge play. Being a deck that consists of almost an infinite number of DD Crows, Spyro will really struggle against its graveyard disruption. And also being a deck that has massive back row removal, decks like Altergeist will completely fear Infernoids. In this particular video, I'm not only going to show you how Infernoid can destroy the meta, but I'm also going to be showing you some really cool combos post-Ignition Assault that Infernoid can do to be a top contender. Okay guys, we're going to be doing videos like this slightly different. We're going to be including back the aspect of a deck profile, but still giving you a complete breakdown on the particular deck. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. It literally lets us know as content creators, we're doing a good job. Infernoid made its debut in the Secrets of Eternity set. Unfortunately, it wasn't well received. It took the Clash of Rebellion set and the Raging Tempest set for the strategy to be fully realized. Special summoning 2 Infernoid Decatrons to your side of the field and making double negates. Duh. And then later, a structure deck added an additional layer to the strategy, allowing you to tribute your opponent's monsters. You see what I did there? Added an additional layer. Haha, I'm funny. Infernoid have an amazing ability to be DD Crows. Almost every single monster in the arsenal has the ability to tribute monsters on the field to be able to banish a card from your opponent's graveyard. Now if we're talking about the lower level Infernoid monsters, they can only be activated during your opponent's turn. But the higher level Infernoid monsters can be activated during either player's turn, making them quick effects. Spyro will really struggle getting any type of board going if you're continuously tributing off monsters to banish their clutch targets. Now I know that Spyro players do play multiple copies of Master Plan, but it'd be a shame if we summon multiple Infernoid monsters so they could never get a Master Plan effect off. The back row heavy matchups such as decks like Altergeist is slightly different, and Infernoid's matchup doesn't necessarily become disadvantageous. You have Infernoid Patrulia, which can destroy your opponent's back row, but that's really just a poke phase, all to get to your Infernoid Deviati, which can massively wipe everything they have on the field. The good thing about all of these effects is that they're not hard once per turns, meaning if your opponent is wasting resources like Judgment and Altergeist Protocol, you can just summon another Infernoid monster to your side of the field and continue on with their play. You're essentially forcing them to waste resources on monsters that don't mind being on the graveyard and can summon themselves right back. With that being said, Infernoid is not without its weakness. The biggest weakness is being that it's a deck that can brick. And when I mean brick, you can't really play Yu-Gi-Oh! Imagine drawing a handful of Infernoid monsters, and while still playable, you're probably going to have to banish said Infernoid monsters from your hand to be able to play, which means you're not going to be playing much. The next weakness is the level restriction. You won't be able to special summon Infernoid monsters from your hand or graveyard to your side of the field if the levels on your side of the field exceed the level or rank of 8. That's actually not really a complete weakness, seeing that links are out, but it's still a weakness that we have to be mindful of. With that being said, let's actually talk about the Spyro profile and get you guys into the nitty gritty. Now I built this particular Infernoid deck with the specific mind of going second. Of course our opponent is going to catch on that in game 2 or possibly game 3. They'll force us to go first. We came well prepared for that. Starting off with the deck profile, we run 2 copies of Anuku, 2 copies of Deviati. That's pretty standard for any Infernoid build. 2 and 2 is so you can still be able to summon your Tierra while also still being able to make your Void Feast play. 1 copy of Atondal, 2 copies of Seismus, 1 copy of Jet. Jet's really only there because of the Void Feast play. Next, we do switch it up a little bit with 3 copies of Infernoid Patrulia. The reason why we decided to play 3 copies of this card is because there are so many back row heavy decks. Subterra, Altergeist, you name it, and all of them will fear Patrulia being able to get you that free spot removal. 1 copy of Harmonic, 1 copy of Antra, and of course 3 copies of Decatron. Now this is a 16 card Infernoid lineup. You could cut it down to 14 if you wish, but the reason why we did 16 is so we can resolve the effect of Infernoid Tierra's last effect and still be able to pop off with our Void Feast play rather consistently. Next is 3 copies of Cyframe Gear Gamma and the Cyframe Driver. This is easily the best hand trap for the deck because a lot of your spell effects require you to either have no monsters on the field or you can activate it when you have no monsters in your field, making you prone to an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. But not only does this guy summon himself to the side of the field as well as another monster, it provides you free link food, and the Cyframe Gear Gammas can be skipped over with Monster Gate. Next is 3 copies of Void Vanish, make your reinforcement of the army for your Void cards, and 3 copies of Void Imagination. This card is amazing. When you can resolve this going second, you practically win just off of the sheer reason that you get Infernoid monsters to your graveyard. 3 copies of Layer of Darkness, because this is a go second deck, your opponent's gonna have to respect the Layer of Darkness. If they don't, you can tribute their monsters with your effects. Void Expansion is a card that I've been messing with, mainly because it's an amazing go second card too. If you activate this, then the Infernoid monster that you summon can't be targeted by your opponent's card effects. That can actually come up. And then 1 Terraforming to search either or. Now I am playing 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance in this build, but I'm actually teetering with taking it out. You can actually play quite the few good Extranet cards, but playing Pot of Extravagance forces you to play multiple copies of cards so you don't banish them. Talk about that theory a little later. 3 copies of Super Polymerization for breaking boards, and Layer of Darkness turns everything dark. So, I mean, your Starving Venom is always live. 1 copy of Reasoning, 3 copies of Monster Gate, and then we wrap it up with 1 copy of Void Feast. Since this is a go second deck, you don't necessarily need this, but in the opportunity that you're forced to go first, having this inside of your deck can be a game winner. For the extra deck, we're going to keep it rather simple since I do run the Pot of Extravagance. I'm forced to run 3 copies of Infernoid Tiara. I also run 3 copies of Elder Antithesis. These 2 cards are amazing. Tiara is obviously so I don't banish it. With my Pot of Extravagance, the odds of you banishing it are rather low, and then the Entis is free 3 destructions. Next, I do play 1 copy of World Chalice Guard Dragon Almerdurk. This card is amazing because it can get rid of your opponent's super linked out board and give you a monster, and then 2 copies of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. This card is good because Layer of Darkness makes everything dark. I don't really mind for Pot of Avarice, so I run World Sword, Nightmare Unicorn, Equimax, Lambda, Phoenix, and Gravity Controller. Gravity Controller is a new card out of the Ignition Assault set, and it actually wouldn't bounce. Gravity Controller is a new card out of the Ignition Assault set, and it actually prompts me to run more of just a link-based deck. Gravity Controller is a new card out of the Ignition Assault set, and this is actually what prompted me not to run Pot of Extravagance. Gravity Controller is a really good card because once you summon Tiara in the extra monster zone, you're locked out of summoning other monsters into your main monster zone or other Infernoid monsters. Well, you can just link that off into a Gravity Controller, and now you can just plop out as many monsters as possible, and this card can shuffle itself back into the main board. With that being said, I did miss quite a few good link monsters because I was playing the Pot of Extravagance that I might consider putting back in, such as Hida, also Duel Chimera, and even Wee Witch's Apprentice. Those are some pretty decent cards that you could be playing. IP Masquerena, Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, that I had to skip out because of Pot of Extravagance. So if you guys can't afford Pot of Extravagance, it's not a terrible thing, you just have to change the deck up a little bit. Okay guys, so for the side deck, I did not make this combo up. It actually came from the OCG. If I'm going to give credit to somebody, it has to be to Boy the Ton. It's where I seen it at, and I just could not wait for Gravity Controller to come out so I can show you guys. It's 3 copies of Lily Lady Lameth. I also mixed it up by running 2 copies of Trap Trick. If I remember correctly, he ran 3. 3 copies of Chain Material. I didn't know why I didn't buy this, but yeah. 3 copies of Chain Material. As you can see, we're running some proxies. I actually run 2 copies of Necroid Fusion through testing. I thought that 2 is good, and the fact that Super Polymerization could be activated. In place of it, 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More when you have to go second against another board-breaking deck, just another card to help you. 2 copies of Void Feast when you're forced to go first, and they know about this. And then 1 copy of Red Reboot. I'll be able to show you guys the combo right now, actually. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so this combo is rather simple, but it actually is a good way to wipe your opponent's entire hand and more often than not completely win the game. This particular Infernoid build doesn't have the power to go first unless you side deck, but this would be the way to do it. What you're going to need is a chain material and a necrofusion or a super polymerization. You activate chain material first, and then you can activate your necrofusion or super polymerization, fusing 10 Infernoids this time around to be able to special summon your Infernoid Tiara to your side of the field. Now you can apply all effects in sequence, which include returning any 3 Infernoid monsters back into your graveyard, sending cards from the extra deck to the graveyard, sending cards from the top of the deck to the graveyard. But the more important thing is that you can activate its last effect, saying that you sent 10 Infernoid monsters from the deck to the graveyard, which is send all cards from both players' hands to the graveyard. With that being said, if you open this combo, your opponent's going to struggle to be able to beat over your Infernoid Tiara, and they also won't have an entire hand. Now, I like to combine this combo with the Void Feast combo, because if you can resolve the Void Feast, I do have enough Infernoid monsters to be able to summon to your side of the field even after you fuse for all 10. So Void Feast sends the Void Vanishment to be able to special summon 2 Decatrons and of course your Infernoid Jet. Using the effect of your Decatron, you can send Deviati and Onuku to the graveyard to gain those disruptions. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be uploading some test scans on my Patreon, and I hope you guys are having a great day like I am.